Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of FireDEV, a fireside chat with people in the industry. Today, my guest is Margarita Barreto. Margarita, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Not a problem at all. Before we actually, because usually what I do on these podcasts is I dive into what you're doing, like your most current role. But you're also a published author, so for I'll change things up a bit. Let's focus on that. What book or books have you published, and what are they about?
Yeah, I've published on April 3rd a Midjourney book. I don't know if the audience know, but Midjourney is a Gen AI tool. My book is specifically about how to use that tool to enhance the workflows. I'm currently working on another book, but it's more a portfolio one. So this one, the Midjourney Expedition, it's what I call a Bible, the Midjourney Bible. Um, I think the journey to write it happened naturally. I was always posting about AI and teaching others how to use these AI tools over LinkedIn and Instagram. So the more I shared, the more I realized there was a need to put all the information about Midjourney in one place. New updates and information were coming out and are coming out every day. And I found myself taking notes, using post-its to keep track of everything. So I felt like the book was already taking shape before I even decided to write it down. So when I was invited to write it, it felt like a natural progression. And yeah, the book has been it was an incredible journey and an adventure. Allowed me to compile everything I have learned and experienced with Midjourney and AI because it also talks about it gives a heads up about what is AI, a little bit of history. So it was a lot of learning, exploring, and creating. Um, and it was very positive to see how my work could help others navigate and use AI in their own creative process. And yeah, it was rewarding.
So you mentioned, Midjourney. It's a tool that I've used, and I think a lot of or some audience members will have. But I think there'll be people listening that don't know what Midjourney is. Do you want to explain what it is and why you would use that?
Yeah, I think Midjourney is, as I said in the beginning, it's a tool to generate AI pieces. You can create everything you can imagine there in terms of images. If you know how to introduce the right input, you work with it based in prompts, text prompts, and you can also use like image references to feed the tool. When I started the book, the tool was only available, you could only access via Discord. Uh, at the moment, you can use it on web based too, and I think they are thinking about launching an app to your mobile. Um, Being an old school person, I still prefer using Discord to to work with a tool, but it's awesome working also the web-based version. I think if you want to learn more, you have to buy my book so you can nail all the features in the tool. Concerning all of the AI tools that I know and I use and test a lot of them, Midjourney for me, it's one of the best in the market. When it started, you had a trial version and you can use some free credits. At the moment, they don't have any trial version. So you have always to make a subscription to try it. I think, in my opinion, it's worth it. It's worth it to use it, to buy, even for a month, um, because if you learn how to control the output you need, you can use it for your work, for your own personal brand, as I do. Um, Even if you're a creative person or a designer for profession like me, or just a person that has interest in creating stuff, um, I think it's awesome.
So yeah, I remember when Discord, I mean, Midjourney was, in Discord, only I remember, using that. For me, it always felt a bit, weird and strange to have
Mm.
it in a chat application, and it was a bit like, you have to have, get like some kind of invite, and then you're in there, and then it's just like
Yeah.
you would post, but you're posting in like a group, a chat where everyone is in there. There's loads of people in there, and there's other people's stuff getting generated as well, and then it's your stuff as well. Again, it always felt a bit weird to me. So I do like having it, me personally, separate, and obviously, having an app in the future, which I think they definitely will go down that route, especially with an app. You can, use the camera on your device, take something, and then possibly, if Midjourney gets to the point where you can start really modifying real life photos, to a great fine detail level. Because what I again, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'd love to hear your opinion on this. What I find from AI generated content, especially images, is it's it looks very good, but I find it's not the best for fine detail editing, or fine detail sort of specifics. You'll create some sort of like nice fancy imagery that'll be colorful, you'll be popping, there'll be something wow factor about it, but I feel like it's not quite there where I can just upload an image and say, can you edit a couple of these things, can you do this, can you do this to it, and he does that really well, instead of it trying to create a whole new image and just make it look as, I guess, artistically impressive as possible. I mean, do you know of any tools, or have you used these tools and found you can really do, I guess, Photoshop with it, instead of just generating something wow?
Yeah. Before going there, I have to say that I understand your position, when you're saying about Discord being crowded, and it was strange going to an application, a tool, a program that was working on a chat, another chat tool. But one of the things you can do is create your own private server over Discord and invite the Midjourney bot there, so you can work like in a private mode with just your generations there. So that's another thing you can find in the book to help you understand, and if you prefer to work over Discord, because there, at the moment, I think you have almost everything on the Midjourney web based, but till 1 month ago, some of the things you wanted to do, you can only do it still on Discord. So I think it's great to have the two options, because you never know what you can do in one hand, in the other. Regarding the what you were saying about the details and like final outputs, and not only fancy things, um, I have to be honest that I what I produce in this Gen AI tool like Midjourney and others, I can deliver like sometimes like final pieces for some clients. Um, Sometimes you have to tackle tweaking the prompt to get you there. You have also a lot of upscalers now that can enhance the outputs. Even on Midjourney, if you use their own upscales in the last version, they are pretty neat and you can get awesome results. You have also third-party tools to do that. Magnific AI, Crea AI also, and you can in Midjourney um, use it like Photoshop with a very region option. So you have a lot of features there that you can that enables you to edit your images, not in a Photoshop way, of course. But I think with time, if you learn the enough of the how the tool works and how you talk to the machine in this case, you can have great outcomes in your images. I have to say, I'm finishing, for example, an image for an outdoor for a huge company, international brand, and I think 70% of that was made in Midjourney.
So that private server, you mentioned that you can create your own private server on Discord, invite the chat bot. Are there, any costs associated with that? Like,
No,
including even with Midjourney, inviting it to a server that's not theirs on Discord. Are they, say you can use it as much as you want, the same as you would if you joined their server? Is that correct?
yeah, it's the same. It's basically the same. You are on Discord, you create your server, it's for free, and you invite the bot there. So you don't have to pay. It's not any cost associated with that. The only cost you have is the same of your Midjourney subscription. It's like using it in one window or in another tab of your computer, but no costs associated with that.
Okay. And one of the things that I've experienced, it's been a while since I've tried Midjourney, but that I've experienced when using AI to generate images is the text generation. Like generating text
Yeah.
is just really bad. It's like you'll either just not do it, or you'll do it and spell it incorrectly, or do some random language. Like you'll just be totally messed up. Like, so just basic. If you just say, I just want to add this word to the image, you'll do that really badly. Is Midjourney any better at that than it used to be? And can it, consistently, if it is better, generate text on your images with prompts? And if not, also like, why do you think that's the case? Like, why does it struggle with adding text to images?
Big news and good news is that is pretty better at the moment, and I think it will be even better with the new model release they are doing. We are currently at version 6. Um, Based on the history of the tool evolution, we should have next the 6.1, because we are at 6.0. It should be the next one should be 6.1. I think they are doing so many updates, and the performance will be so great that we are jumping to the 6.5 and then to the 7. So at this stage, when we jumped from 5.2 to 6, the big advance was on text generated. So at the moment, you can input in your prompt what kind of text you want to create and to generate. From my experience, long texts don't work. You can see a lot of gibberish in the middle, but short sentences or words, numbers, they work. It's not 100%, not close to that perfect, but it's really better than it was. I have some images I work there, even with the punctuation, and it nails there. However, if you want to have great outputs with text, you have to go to another tool that's ideogram dot AI. Um, in terms of images, it's not so good in my point of view as Midjourney, but in terms of text and logos, it's way better.
So, what sort of use cases would you recommend Midjourney, and then also broadly AI generated, AI image generators, for? Because having used these tools myself, whether it's generating, images, videos, text, whatever it is, there's certain scenarios I'm like, I'm definitely going to use it. It's just a no-brainer. Then there's some scenarios I'm thinking, at least right now, AI isn't making it better or faster. So, like, what are the recommended scenarios for you to use Midjourney and AI generated tools? And also, what are the scenarios that you would say probably not? You'll be wasting your time.
Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying, and I agree because a lot of people think like AI gen art is the only way out at the moment, and
Oh yeah.
and yeah, that's I can say as a graphic designer, I've been working with images and creating advertisement for 20 years now, and I know a lot of what I do, so I know what it will be the best way to do or not to do something. I have cases of clients that are so specific in their business that it has been very difficult to to find images for their business. I can tell you about one of them. It's a food ingredient client. So they just work with the ingredients itself, not the like flowers, things that sometimes it's very difficult to find image that represents what they sell. So using AI here was magical because I could guide the tool to give me the things I wanted, and I could not found anywhere else. Not in stock photo. The client, it's sometimes it's impossible for the client to have photos of the product because he doesn't have the product in the factory. So it was very difficult, very hard. And using AI here was a game changer. We can create. We use it for their social media, and it's perfect. However, sometimes, even for these clients, there are things that it's much faster for me to go to a iStock photo and choose something and use for the posts. So I think it's using AI like it's another tool, but it's not the only tool. I use it in my work for myself almost every day, but not for everything. And one of the things we all like about Midjourney, it's the name. It's the me journey. It's the middle of the journey. It's not the old journey. So you have a lot of other things to help you, and that sometimes are time savers better than using AI.
Yeah, it is you've got to get that balance. Sometimes I thought I'm going to use AI tool to do this, generate or modify some content, and then I'm just going through prompt, essentially just prompt engineering so many times just to try and get just trying to accomplish what I'm trying to do, and I'm like, I could have just done this from scratch. at this point. So yeah, but I feel like it's one of those things that you learn as you use it, and it's the experience that informs. Okay, this is where, let's say, Midjourney shines for creating artwork for my scenario, whereas this is something else I want to create. It doesn't help. But this is also the other thing with these sort of AI generated tools. Like you say, it's the middle of the journey. You might use, again, let's just talk about image generator, or like Midjourney. You might use it as generating some sort of concept, or just trying to get a rough idea of what you're going for. Then you might be like, okay, I've got 3 or 4 different examples. I really like these two. This is what I'm gonna now use as my base going into Photoshop or some other tool, and then create it that way. So again, it saves you a lot of time, essentially either experimenting on paper or in Photoshop, or doing mock-ups, or googling to try and find something what you kind of want, but you can essentially get some sort of mock, get that middle of the journey all ready for you, so you have an idea of what you want. And then you could even use a tool, especially something like ChatGPT, to help you analyze what's being generated as well, and say, okay, no, it's generated something, what is this, what's that color, what's this. You can get that information, and then you can go and use what you do, what you need to do. Or you might just be creating a little part of the overall image, for example, in one of these tools. That might be sufficient, but then you have to use, like I said, like we're saying, a mixture of a bit of AI and a bit of hands-on human interaction as well. Because it's an interesting point that you made a few minutes ago, that a lot of people that use these tools, they talk about it as if it's the best thing since sliced bread, and it's either you use it or you don't use it. It's never use it a little bit, but then do a bit of human interaction. It's always, you just need this. You do one command, and you've got you've got the best thing come out in the world. But we both know that isn't actually the case.
Yeah, well, I have to say that for me, this was when I came across this whole thing of Gen AI 2 years ago. It was like, whoa, what is this? This is incredible, because I worked with images all my life, and this was something different, and this was something I never thought it would be so fast to come to the creative spectrum. So in that sense, I think it's normal for us to have that, whoa, this is awesome, but we have to take a step back and think this is not the solution for everything, and each case is one case. Um, as I was saying, I think for very specific things, it's the solution. I do a lot of brainstorm with AI, uh, but in my case, I always know what I want. So it's easier that way. I come when I get to Midjourney or another tool, or even to talk with ChatGPT. I always know what I want, and I give him the briefing, and we start talking. Um, but you have the other side. It's like, I don't know what I want, so I can use it to give me ideas. You can use Midjourney for that too. They have a feature that you can input there, you upload there your image, and it describes the image for you and helps you prompt. So he also can give you ideas based on things you feed him. um, but I don't think at the moment, and things are changing at the speed of light, but at this moment, I don't think in a professional way you can use AI like end to end. You still have a lot of work in between, a lot of third party tools to use. Uh, However, the fascinating thing in all of this is that you always want to learn a little bit more about another tool that does another thing, and sometimes, and almost all of the times, based in AI. So we are seeing a lot of people doing. They started with the images, they passed to the storytelling using Gemini, ChatGPT, or others. Then they started using programs to do the voiceover. You have Udio, I think it's Sunu, 11 Labs that create the voices. They create the sounds and the music. And then people are using other tools like animations and videos. I'm seeing a lot of people creating video clips from scratch, and they don't know nothing about, they don't have any background on music or instrumental things. And they do the videos, the images, they write the songs, the lyrics, and then compose everything. So I think this is giving people the freedom to personalize and create their own stuff, but not, again, not in a professional way yet. It's for personal things, and we all say, yeah, this is crazy, this is pretty cool, but at this stage I'm not seeing these things going in this raw stage into a business, you know.
Yeah, of course. And with Midjourney, obviously Midjourney is the focus is on images. That's what it's all about. And the other, the big daddy that everyone talks about when they talk about AI tools is ChatGPT, which does text, it does images now. Does that pretty well. You can get plugins where you can do stuff like videos, presentations, Word documents, like it is like a suite, effectively a suite of tools, like almost like Microsoft Office, and I don't think that's just a coincidence, considering Microsoft is 49% owner of OpenAI, huge investor in OpenAI. I think they've had probably an influence on going down the suite route than just fully focused on one little niche. I'm sure you use ChatGPT. How does Midjourney compare to ChatGPT when Midjourney is just purely focused on images?
Well, sometimes I use the mix. I try in Midjourney, and sometimes, even knowing how to work uh, decently in Midjourney, sometimes I came across some challenges. It's normal. So sometimes I go back to ChatGPT and I ask him on Dali, yeah, give me an image for this, blah 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 blah. He gives me an image, and I always ask, now give me the prompt for this image for me to use on Midjourney. And that's a good thing that I do, because personally, for what I do, I never liked a lot the things I get from Dali in the artistic way. I think it's because I didn't spend time enough on Dali to explore and to learn how to create better things there. So I always go back where I feel safe. That is Midjourney. Um, so I see the output on Dali. I see it's more close to what I thought, and I get the prompts. I go back to Midjourney and I tweak a little bit the prompts, um, and sometimes, most of the times, doing this exercise, I get the final result I wanted, and then I just go tweaking a little bit here, a little bit there, the prompt, re-rolling some images, applying some variations, and that's the best way. Uh, when I come across some difficulties here, I use the combination of the ChatGPT, DALI, and Midjourney. For some, not for all, but for some, and it helps.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure it does. Having that combination out there. Have you used the latest model from ChatGPT 4.0?
Yeah, I'm using it, and I've noticed a difference is sometimes I rumble a lot with the ChatGPT, um, and I see that with this new model is more accurate in things. And if I give him some tasks, he performs them better than the previous one with less hallucinations, in my point of view.
Okay. And what got you into, using AI? So, so now, more deep diving into your career, because right now you're a partner and creative director at Electrico 28. What do you do there? What's that about? And what have you done previously in your career? Have you always been, into the art side? And and also, combining, on top of that, a lot of artists are, scared, or they're sort of hate. They have a lot of hate towards AI tools,
Yeah,
especially around copyright. How have you, navigated that side of it as well?
yeah. Well, talking, starting from the beginning, for everyone to understand my background, I think I always knew from an early age that I wanted to do something related with arts. My grandpa was a designer himself. He still paints, and he fueled my passion for this area. I remember me and him always uh, reading and seeing art books and comics on the from the 80s. Um, we chat about a lot about all these creative things. So I grew up in this environment. First, I dreamt of becoming a fashion designer. I even did some hometown fashion shows here in Portugal, but making a career of it back then here was pretty tough. So I started to look closer to graphic design because always I love the idea of using art to communicate ideas, create awareness about important issues. I still do now with help of AI. It's way faster now. Um, so I followed this passion, got to design university, and then start working as a graphic designer. Um, over the years, I've worked with a lot of design agencies. Um, I've been for the past 15 years creative director. I've worked with companies like mainly focused on tech. I worked with HP, Dell, also Apple. Um, and in 2012, I started working doing UX and UI apps for augmented reality apps. And that experience, more than 10 years ago, sparked something inside of me. So, coming back to 2022, when I stumbled upon Gen AI, I felt that thrilled again. It was like butterflies on my stomach. Like, whoa, this is again something that can change everything I know about creating and developing things. Um, yeah, and that brings us today concerning the afraid people. You were saying designers are afraid. I see a lot of people in the industry with fear. I think it's normal for people to have concerns about AI. I also have. Um, the idea that it will replace jobs, or the the thing that it will be developed beyond our control. I think we have an history precedent of that, a lot of speculative fiction about that. So, and you see all about throughout history, every time technologies have come, they have sparked fears of job displacement. So you also have a lot of movies and media painting AI as a rogue entity, and people get scared. Yeah. So I think it's normal, but I think we have to be positive. And I give even yesterday I was having a talk and talking about this, and I gave the example like the ATMs in banking. People thought, oh, it's something automatic, it will replace a lot of bank tellers. No, it's actually allowed banks to expand their services. So we had more people working in different things. I think we have to see here the same, have the same mind, open minded here. um, I think new jobs will be created and transformed, um, and it makes part of the evolution. I think creative people who are afraid, they are totally right, and it's normal to be afraid. But I think people have to see this like a tool, as we are saying previously. This is another thing that we have to learn to work with. It's here. It won't disappear. It will be just evolving further and faster. Almost everything we do and we work with today has AI involved. Um, Even the designers who work with Photoshop, Adobe has a lot of AI integrated. So we have to learn how to use these tools and how to use them to enhance our work. I think if we stand, if we use that position, I don't like this, I fear this, I hate this, I won't use it, you will lose the run. Um, I think, in my point of view, it's not for ourselves. It's not the best way to be in this new way of working.
Yeah, yeah. It's also an interesting thing you're talking about. New opportunities, and yeah, a lot of people do like to see things in absolutes, that okay, it's going to take over my job. I'm not going to have anything after this. AI is just going to take over everything. And the reality is, you're going to either get one of two things. If AI has a major impact in a particular industry, either there'll be totally new jobs that will open up, just as like 100 or so years ago, when electricity became a really big, big thing in the world. Whale oil, which was, I think, the largest industry in the world at the time, went away literally overnight. When cars became a major thing and a lot more affordable, especially because of Ford. The horses. It got to a point where people couldn't give away their horses. Like, that industry, went away. Yet transportation industry didn't go away. Energy and lighting industry didn't go away. It was transformed. And obviously, if you didn't retrain yourself to be, I guess, either an electrician or be part of the bulb making process or the wiring, something along those lines, yeah, you would have been a person that was good at in the wire oil industry, but you've got no skills that you've decided to try and upgrade and also transfer. So yeah, I think you'll be totally different jobs, or it'll just be the same jobs, but it'll just be AI enhanced. Just the way, and the example for this I would give is like a receptionist. Vast majority of industries and companies that had receptionists pre-computers still have them, even though we've got, for starters, even though we've got outsourcing, we still have receptionists and sort of, that sort of clerical style of work in the West, and in your own country, instead of outsourcing it, virtually, for example. But then you've also got tools that do it, and now you've got AI tools that do it. They just get enhanced by those tools. Pre-computers, you had a receptionist. Now you have a receptionist that has to know how to use a computer, that has to know how to use some sort of spreadsheet application, most likely Excel, has to know how to use some sort of document application, most likely Microsoft Word, has to know how to use the internet. Sounds obvious, but that wasn't a thing 50 years ago. But the actual job is still virtually the same. It's just the tools are now different. They have to know how to use a calendar application. That's kind of transferred from, I guess, some sort of physical calendar, and a contact book. Instead of a Rolodex, it's a contact book. So yeah, there's a transfer, and then there's just new tools that are there that they have to learn. But the job of a receptionist never went away. That's still
Yeah,
there.
that
And I
yeah,
think, like,
that's a very good example.
oh yeah, and I think artists will be that. I think with these tools, especially in, let's say, a few years, when they're really advanced and you can really properly talk to it and get what you want out of it, it'll be, you could do that yourself, or do use somebody who's not an artist to do it. But if somebody's trained using the tools for 10 years, they're going to be obviously better than you, who's had a quick go for a couple of months. It's just the same way now. You have artists that obviously use Photoshop. They use tools like that. If you have some sort of designer, maybe a UI designer, they'll use Adobe XD, Sketch, Figma. They'll use a specific application. They need to know those tools, but it'll just be an enhancement of their day-to-day tasks, their workflow. But it's not artists haven't gone away. Is after the advent of tools like Photoshop, it's just artists that refuse to learn those tools in the same industry that those tools are now, dominant in. They've gone away. But the artist is still there. They just have to know how to use a computer now, or Photoshop for particular, sectors. It'll also be the same way with AI. They'll say, it'll be a job spec. Do you know Photoshop? Great. Do you know how to use, AI generated tools like Midjourney? Great. Do you know how to use Midjourney for this specific? Because right now it's just, do you know how to use some sort of AI tool? Do you have experience in it? But with something like Photoshop, you could do so many different things. You could use it to create sort of vistas and backgrounds. You could use it to create sort of newsletters. You could use it to create logos. They're all different things. They're all different expertise, and you'll be the same with AI. So definitely, if you're good at you know doing something, something artistic, maybe it's creating logos. Start specializing in AI with the different tools, Midjourney, ChatGPT with Dolly, and just the general models, whatever it is. Start specializing. Be like, okay, I'm gonna get as good as I can doing logos, but in an AI tool now. And when the time comes that somebody or the industry is now hiring people for logo creation, but that have to have Photoshop plus, Mid-Journey for logo creation, I'm there. And that's my, recommendation and my advice from, all of the years that I've been using technology, and then also, the last year or two that I've been using these AI tools.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this reminds me when I went to university, I I was from that time that I didn't have a computer. We were a few with computers, and I started my first year on college. I was doing everything by hand. So, and I remember that time, there were people saying back then, "Oh, computers, but it's all automatic. Now you don't have to know to do things." So this kind of talk, the history is the same. Back then was with the computers and the programs like Freehand, CorelDRAW. We had the first Photoshops, and people were, oh, it's all automatic in the computer, the machine does it all. We don't have artists anymore. And I came from those persons that were doing everything by hand. So I remember crafting everything and presenting in school. And then I had to make the transition to the computer. And it wasn't easy, but I had to do it because the world was evolving to that. And this was 20 years ago, not so long. If I went with those people, I wouldn't have a job anymore because I was doing everything by hand. I could not uh, take the speed of the world today. It was impossible to be up to date like I am today. So whenever I see people with this kind of talk, I remember those times. Um, and it's not how evolution is made. I think we still need to be careful, of course. It's a new thing. It's a lot of things that we have to take care and be concerned, but we need to grab this and see the potential and see how it can enhance our own skills. I think I remember the rise of the internet. We had a lot of traditional media jobs, but you also had an entirely new industry roles in digital media, social media, e-commerce. Now AI. We need to look at this and think, yeah, we can have our jobs transformed for better, create new opportunities in fields like AI ethics, AI training, AI system management. For those who, my advice for those who are apprehensive, um, I say, give it a try, but try at start with small things. Try AI in low risks areas of your work, so you can see how it can benefit you or not. Like if you're a writer, try using AI tools for grammar checking. If you're a content creator, for brainstorming ideas. If you are a designer, for your own designs. uh, Learn to do it and to work with it. I think it's the best way. Not the close your eyes and think it will be over soon, but because it won't.
No, yeah, like now that the floodgates have been open, when I use these tools and I hear people saying, oh, they haven't used it, they've never tried it, and I think this is not the way I see AI is not the way I look at blockchain or Bitcoin or even Web3. Those particular technologies, I believe, have a long-standing future, and that they're going to be very important, especially blockchain and also Web3. Bitcoin, but we'll see. But cryptocurrencies in general, if we just say cryptocurrency, I feel like if people have to focus on one thing or another, AI would be the better thing for them, because cryptocurrencies and blockchain and these sort of technologies, I feel like they're gonna get hidden in the background. They're gonna power the future, but just the way most people don't know how their credit and debit card works, they probably won't need to know how cryptocurrencies work. Again, I'm not discouraging the education and understanding of those tools, just the way I highly recommend everyone to understand how the banking system, the fiat system, how money and the economy works, even though most people don't. But I feel like you'll be like that, where they'll just kind of use some sort of abstract layer. They'll interact with some sort of blockchain, some sort of Web3 tool, or some sort of cryptocurrency they won't really care. It'll just work just the way we did because, but AI is going to be like computers, mobile phones, and the internet, where you will need to understand how it works, and having that understanding now, whilst it's still manageable, and I say still manageable in air quotes because there's so much sort of innovation and new announcements every single, I'd say, 1 to 7 days. So within a week, that it's very hard to keep on top of it. You got to shut out the noise. You've got to try and find what's important to focus on. But it's not like other industries where you're like, okay, Apple releasing a new iPhone, it's been a year, and always be and okay, now they got a tablet. Okay, that's fine. I focus on two things in a year, from Apple, and then Samsung's doing this. Whereas with this, next week there could be some huge major AI announcement, like Chat 4.0, Chat GPT 4.0 kind of just came out of nowhere. Like they could do some other model like that where it's just like, oh, okay, and then there's people out there that don't even know that Chat GPT has models. Like they've never used it, let alone know that there's 3.5, there's 4, there's 4.0, there's differences when you're using the API, when you're using these tools, when you're using something else, and all these sort of things. So yeah, I highly recommend people that are listening really start learning these tools. These are going to be like the computer and the internet and the mobile, or the smartphone, I should say, and just the mobile phone in general. Being realistic, you'll need to know how they work. You'll need a basic understanding, and if you don't, you'll be that one random weirdo, uncle that you had, that everyone has, that has that really old, flip phone that you're just like, how is he surviving?
Yeah, I totally agree. And sometimes it's very difficult for us who work with these technologies. Um, and in my case, I'm always trying to see what's coming out, trying new tools. Almost, I it's I cannot say it's daily because I don't have time for all of them. But I try almost every week. I'm invited to try another tool that's coming out just to test it, to give my opinion. I'm always reading what are the latest advances on things. And one time I was talking with a client, and he was saying, we were talking because I was doing for my agency where I was doing a thing on with AI for him, and you was saying, oh, we have to be careful in how we use this, because people won't understand, this is AI. We can go enter in the uncanny valley, where it's so strange because it looks like a person, but it's not a person, and people don't understand that this is AI because they don't know what AI is. And I'll say, well, AI, but this is, you see this, and you see it's an image that is talking, but it's not the person we want. It's a fake. Yeah, but people won't understand this is AI. And then I thought, yeah, uh, most of the people, and I don't know if this is just here, but I think this is global, are very disconnected with all of this, and that is regarding what you were saying with cryptocurrencies. Uh, Even that, I think because it's very complicated and people just don't have time to understand. Um, and they only get the bad ideas that come in the news when we talk about crypto, um, and it's not very good to the crypto system. But uh, overall, people don't want to know. And what I in the last days started to see was people are getting the terms and using them in everything. So I was seeing, it was a video, a fictional video using like a the green screen, and they post did the post production. It was with the effects and blah blah blah. It was a fake video, of course, but it wasn't AI. It was a normal video, and people were saying on social media, "Oh, this is AI. We have to be very careful with this technology because we don't know what is real from what is not." And people were saying this is a classic normal video, uh, with the green screen behind, with the normal post production on the studio. This is not AI. So people, because people don't understand and they don't know, they start to create all these strange things, and now everything that is bad comes from AI. And I think there we have to start educating people, because they are using AI every day on their social media, on their emails, on their work programs, and they don't even know. Um, and I think educating and teaching people, it's the best way for us to have good results on this, because people need to, as you were saying, people need to be more informed. uh, and this goes back to, they are giving their private data for so long in all social medias. Um and now with AI, it sounds like everything now it's important. When they were giving them their privacy data forever.
Yeah, and the other, interesting, thing with AI is, unlike some of those other, technologies that we spoke about, blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, Web3, those ones, I find AI is the most accessible to the average person. It's like, how can the average person access blockchain, in a meaningful way? Like, I don't think there is a way for them to use blockchain in their everyday lives in a meaningful way, outside of investing in putting money into a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. But that's in the realm of asset acquisition and investing. That's not what we're talking about. Right now, most things aren't on some sort of blockchain networks or system, so you're not interacting with it. It's really just more R&D and experimental for the average person in terms of interacting with it. Whereas with AI, you can literally go onto like ChatGPT and use it to help you plan flights, and it does a really good job. You can use it to generate a plan for a business plan. You can use it to, okay, I've got this, let's say, this text file. There's a 100,000 lines in there, or there's a bunch of lines, and I want to modify it to add some sort of character, or I want to do something to it. You can do that, and it doesn't feel like I'm just tinkering away. It Once I got to a point where I was comfortable, and this came pretty quickly. It doesn't take that long. That's the other thing for anyone listening. It doesn't take long to get comfortable with these tools, and to get to a point where you decide, okay, I'm actually doing some pretty decent, cool stuff. It's actually enhancing my workflow. But once I got to a decent level with it, I was like, this actually isn't sort of experimental and sort of R&D like. This is part of my workflow now. This is like the way I would use Gmail as my email application, and that's a non-negotiable part of my day. Using ChatGPT for certain things isn't has become a non-negotiable. It's not an experiment anymore. It's not like some other tool or other search engine where you just like, Google's still the search engine. I'll check DuckDuckGo out. I'll check Bing out, or some other. Obviously, they're still big ones, but I'll check some other one out. Whereas blockchain, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Web3, I feel like they're all in that realm. Where they're still very tinkery for engineers. Whereas AI tools, there's a lot out there, and they've come to a position now with especially resources on YouTube, books like the one you've written, Margarida, that allow the average person that's non-technical to use it, but then also use it in a way that their life is now better after using it. It doesn't feel like they're just, like I said, just experimenting.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's those are great points, and I think that something that uh, puts people away from those blockchains and crypto, it's the interface of it. And even if you want to know how it works, it's very technical. I think it's never a clear thing to say to people so they can understand in a step by step, like AI and my book you were saying. Um, and yeah, that reminds me that people are always asking me, oh, but your book about this tool is just specific for designers, for persons who work on that in that field. And I say, no, this book is for everyone that is curious about integrating AI into their creative work or not so creative work. So even if you're a designer, a marketer, brand strategist, or entrepreneur, or something like a teacher, uh, the book offers practical guidance and easy step by step on to use AI to enhance your creativity. Um, it's very simple. It shows the process like step by step. It goes a little bit from the history of the AI till the construction, the birth of the tool, Midjourney, so people can have a little bit of understanding and historical context. And then I start to explain how the tool works. I explain every model of it so people know or just go to the latest model that we are using. But in my opinion, when I say for anyone that wants to buy the book and learn a little bit about this, um, it's read the entire book, because if you learn the entire book, you whenever another version or another update is done, you will be much more used to it, and it will be easier for you to adapt because you know how the tool works. It's like I use Photoshop for a long time. Uh, when they do an update, I continue to know how to work with that. So because I have the basis, I have the previous knowledge. Um, the update is not a game changer, or it's not turning the tool into another that I don't know. So and I think this, yeah, maybe this a book like this is what we are missing to the other fields, but I think they are pretty complex to have a step by step book like this. I don't know.
So I wanted to ask, where can the listeners find, the book? What platforms is it available on? And I'm gonna, put you, on the spot here. Is it possible to get some, ebook copies to give away for the listeners?
Uh, well, I think there's something that's something I have to to check with the publisher, but yeah, maybe that would be great for maybe do I don't know, a contest or something. But yeah, they can you can have the physical book or the ebook. You can get it on Amazon. I can share the link with you, and also they can buy. over the publisher page. It's spec. If they have an account there, I can also share with you the link.
Yeah, so if you share both of those links with me, I'll put that in the description. So it's published by Pact. Yeah, I've got I think about 4 books with them published as well on software development. So yeah, I've got some contacts at Pact. So yeah, we'll me and you will get in touch, Margarita, with Pact, and they've always been fine. In my experience with ebook copies to give away, so that shouldn't be an issue. I'll
A
probably
problem.
post some sort of contest on LinkedIn, about it once the podcast goes live, and then obviously the listeners and fans can check that out. Out of curiosity, how big's the book? Like how many pages? Is it like a pretty meaty one?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't understood.
I was asking like how big is the book? Like is it like a very
Oh,
in depth big book? Or is it like a thin sort of quick guide?
no, it's um, a big book. You have, I can say to you, let me check. He has 300 pages. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a pretty
Yeah,
thick
a
book.
lot of information, but we have to remember that I have a lot of images here. So I do practical examples. I show the image, and then the process to get that image. So we have a lot of images here.
How long did it take you to, write the book? Because, like I said, I've published author as well. I know how long some of these books can take. So, how long was the process for you?
Oh, it was a year of
Oh,
writing.
yeah.
Yeah, I started on May 23, and I ended on the beginning of this April. And it was a challenge, as you may know for sure, when you're writing technical books about tools or programs, because they are always doing updates, and you have to keep updated too. So that was a big challenge to deliver the most possible updated book for this tool.
Oh, yeah. It's, especially with AI, the frequency of the updates as well. 'Cause it's not one of the things that there's a new SDK out and let me just update it now and I'll probably be good before publication. You could update it and then in 2 weeks later there could be something new and you might have to update a couple of chapters or balance it between when do I stop just constantly updating because there's new announcements and then maybe just mention it at the end in some sort of final chapter or section about new updates and new you know new products versus actually writing the book itself. But yeah, like yeah, it's pretty typical. And that process of when you're working with a publisher, I'm sure Margarita you've had this as well, where you go to them, you think it's fine, they come back, you need to rewrite stuff, or it might be stuff like it sounds a bit different to the other chapter, and then or you go you have the opposite way. It's just like it's too it sounds too similar to the other chapter. Can you change things up a bit? The wording used and the format, and you're just like, oh, it just gets a bit annoying sometimes.
Yes, and it's it's definitely that, and sometimes because you know so much of the tool that for you sometimes it's difficult to explain to others, and you have to keep in mind that many of the people who are that are buying, in my case, the book, will have no background in design or images. So I have to explain everything. And sometimes it's difficult for me because I enter in that phase that, okay, this is like this and like that. And it's because I know, but, and then the editor comes and say, no, you have to take a step back and explain again. And then for me, there was another thing that English, as you have all noticed, it's not my native language. So, and the book is written in English. The technical parts are easy because, yeah, it's I work in English and all my programs are in English, but the normal talk, it's difficult. But we have ChatGPT and another other tools to help us translate and enhance the text, because that was in my case a huge help. um, Creating and translating the sentence to a more fluid English, it was a big help. And yeah, AI was a real partner here, because doing this in Portuguese and then trying to translate using normal translators, you would see that the context is not the same, uh, the grammar and the syntax. So it was a huge help.
Oh yeah, like it can definitely be something, that helps a lot as well. But yeah, it's, the funny thing is, every time I've wrote a book, I've always said to myself, I'm not going to write another one. It's just too much, on top of doing everything else, as part of my job and then family and life. And then a year or two goes by and I think it wasn't that bad, I kind of forget. And then, I start another one and I'm like, this is the last one. Because my last book came out probably been about a year or so now, and I'm kind of in the mindset of, doing something else, thinking about maybe something with AI as well, Margarita. So, but it's still semi fresh in my mind, but I'm still like, it wasn't too bad, yeah. And then I'll probably start and be like 2 months into it, and just think, why did I start this?
I totally get it, because yeah, writing this kind of book, or I think any book of this size, this was really 1 year full working on this besides my normal job running my agency. So it was like a year without weekends, without vacation, because all the spare time I had to be writing and testing and experimenting and getting back the older chapters and correcting them. Yeah, it was a challenge, but as you're saying, we tend to forget things. And it passed, 1 month has passed, and I have another book that I'm trying to finish. It's different. It's just images. It's more personal. Um, it's more in a storytelling way. But yeah, because the bug is here. It's like, I need to do more, and I hope everyone enjoys this Midjourney expedition, because my idea is to, when the time comes, to do another update with the latest features when they came out.
So, what are the latest, announcements or, exciting things that you're seeing in AI that you recommend people checking out? Obviously, we've spoken about some of the new stuff in Midjourney. We've spoken about ChatGPT 4.0. Is there something else that you think, this is really exciting? Or even if it's not out yet, but it's announced and, it's coming out, what's exciting you in AI? Because there's always new stuff. You don't have to wait a year for the new iPhone. In the AI industry, the new iPhone comes out every day.
Yeah. Well, in AI, it's difficult to predict, because I think we are getting into a stage that we this will slow down a little bit. But before that, I think we still be, by the end of this year, expecting significant advancements, particularly in the field of video. I think the ability to generate and manipulate video content is improving a lot. You already have a lot of tools to make animations. Crea, Runaway. Pika, uh, Comfy UI, and Sora that's coming out. I don't know when they will announce it. I don't know if you already or the audience know what is Sora, but it's from OpenAI. Um, it creates videos in a way we haven't seen it yet. Sorry, they are very close to reality. Um, and I think this will bring a lot of challenges, and also deepfakes. So, and here in deepfakes and AI generated videos, I think we'll have to be very cautioned about it, because they can lead to misinformation, identity stolen, and malicious activities. I think this will have to live with robust methods to detect deepfakes and mitigate the potential harm. But in the other way, this will give us a lot of potential to create things on low budgets, on a very fast way, to create, in my case, awareness for topics that if I wanted to talk about, I didn't have the budget or the ways to do it. And now I will be able to create myself. So I think till the end of the year, we will expect to see a lot of crazy stuff on video. Um, and also, we have to address these concerns with transparency. I've seen, and I think that social media platforms and social and content creators should indicate when some content is generated or altered by AI, at least for now. Maybe one day it will not be needed anymore. The same way we don't see in advertising nothing that states that it was manipulated with Photoshop, for instance. But I think for now, being transparent about this can help maintain trust and authenticity in digital interactions. You can see now platforms like Instagram are already implementing labels that inform the user when they are viewing AI generated content. So if I share there a post, I can activate the label and say it was developed with AI. So I think this transparency can help users evaluating the information they consume. I think in terms of ethics, the rapid advancement of AI also needs ongoing discussions on and frameworks to ensure ethical use. The like privacy, consent, accountability. I think AI systems must should be designed and used in ways that respect individual privacy, even if today it doesn't happen, and not just on AI. I'm talking about the normal way of things. But I think, yeah, the way they obtain proper consent for that usage, this should be talked a lot, and we must talk about this now. There should be clear accountability for the decisions and the actions taken by AI, like AI systems that take biased decisions. I think it's essential to have mechanism in place to address and rectify these issues, starting now or yesterday. I think, yeah, we are also seeing a lot of developing AI that aligns with human values, societal norms, and this involves interdisciplinary collaboration among a lot of technical people, from ethics, policymakers, the public itself. I think we have here the power to make inclusive and diverse perspectives in AI, and create systems that better serve and represent everyone. Um, I think the ethical parts and standards, cultural expectations are very important. So we should all make an effort to involve collaboration among various experts. Like I said, yeah, I think that till the end of the year, next year, I think this will be the challenge, and I think we all, as a society, should be involved and aware of it, to help shape also all these regulations that ensure that AI is used responsible. Um, and in that sense, the public can ensure that the AI system address real world needs and concerns. Um, yeah, that's my point of view and my predictions to the end of the year.
So somebody listening, that's working a 9 to 5, that is working for a company. uh, How would you recommend using AI tools, not specifically in terms of the job, but navigating it in a way that they don't get in trouble? Like, that's another thing. There'll be a lot of employees that'll be using AI tools. They won't tell their employers because the employers will just be, a lot of employers have just put a flat out ban on AI tools, and I've said, because we don't know 100% know the legal ramifications and how these models are working, we're just not using them. We're definitely not putting our company data into them, to see, to try and get some sort of result. Whereas employees will be using it, whether they're artists, they're programmers, whether it's more just written based, and doing some sort of generating some sort of text maybe, or go analyzing documents. People are doing it, but again, the last thing you want is somebody to to tell someone at the company, like the boss, or on a call, be like, I use AI for this, and they're like, did you get permission, for that? And then them to get in trouble, maybe get fired, even though they had no ill intention. How do you recommend, in your experience, someone to navigate that sort of scenario? Because one, I think we've clearly established people should learn AI tools. They should start using them to enhance their workflow. But most people do work for companies that have certain regulations and rules that they have to follow. So how does somebody, navigate that landscape?
Oh, that's a difficult question because I think if you work on a company that's so close to itself, I don't know at what point you can use other tools than the ones they deliver to you. I'm remembering, like, if you worked for a bank, even the internet is closed, or if you work for something from the state, you cannot access everything. So I think the cautions that people must have is the same when they work with their normal tools. Um, However, on the other companies that are not so strict to that, I think it will be in a short time. It will be very difficult to not uh, use things with AI because even your emails and uh, things that control your accountability are using AI beneath it. So it
Yeah,
will be.
okay. So let me, just interject, then, just slightly change, what I ask. So yes, 100%, there are tools out there, a lot of tools. The big ones are using AI on some level, and not just old AI, pre the sort of LLM, the large language models. They'll be using LLMs, in there as well. I'm more talking about the direct AI tools, like somebody literally going to ChatGPT, copying in some, text in there and using it to get something out of them, or to, analyze something, or, if you're a programmer, pumping in a code file that you're working on, it's not working, get it to analyze it instead of you manually doing it. But AI, can do it better. Same with, art stuff. Again, I'm not talking about Photoshop. If they've added some AI feature, that's a little, different. I'm talking about literally using one of these major AI tools and just pumping data into it.
Oh, I think I think it's going back to the beginning of our talk. I think it's like getting to the middle term. Um, in my opinion, we are not even at that stage. So you can say, this was done by me, but yeah, I used AI to do it. It's obviously when you're not doing something and going. You gave the example of programming, doing code. Even if you think about it, a lot of the code the programmers do are like copying from here, copying from there, integrating with what you're thinking. So in every area, even me in design, I see things, I get inspired, I try this, I try that, I use this as a tool. Um, but delivering something from scratch, doing with AI, I think it's very you can do it. I have things that I've done it just with AI, um, but I've been transparent with that, and the result is okay. Um,
But I
doing that
feel like
to
a
deceive the
lot of
others.
people are in a situation where they can't be as open. Like they're in a work situation, and I don't think that's exclusive to a few companies. That's pretty widespread. Doing that. Unfortunately, you can't. Just be like, even if it's not a matter of you just admitting that you use it. If you want to, share with the team that, okay, I've been able to get these results from this tool. You guys should do it as well. Like just to help others. People, just won't, say it because again, there is a huge ban internally in a lot of companies from using these tools because they just, like I said, the legal ramifications of it, in terms of especially like copyright, the accuracy of obviously what's being pumped out, and also, the way the large language models, work, and what, where that data is going and how is it being stored, and what's private. And I know, when you're talking about like programmers, I totally agree. As a developer myself, you'll Google stuff, you'll go to YouTube, you go to Stack Overflow, you'll go to so many other resources outside of your own brain and your ingenuity, that it isn't just 100% your work. But if you said to your boss, I went to Stack Overflow and I, figured out the problem via reading some Stack Overflow pages or watching a YouTube video on how to use this API, he wouldn't care. Whereas if you said to him, I went to ChatGPT, I pumped in the code, and it gave me a solution and it worked, he's probably not going to be very happy. That's the problem. It's not that we don't use our own 100% our own imagination anyway, so it's technically fine. It's the actual issue of how people there will you know respond to it, and that's the very difficult part of it, is that how do you make it so you're using these tools, which a lot of people are, but you are using these tools in a way that, again, it's a delicate balance in that. Unfortunately, you've got to use the tools in a way that you don't get caught and it's not obvious. But then also make sure it's safe, and the data is not being used for something else and it's not going somewhere else. But that you need to be using these tools because they're the way forward and they're frankly enhancing your workflow anyway. So what do you do about it? Do you just be, in your opinion, just put simply, would you say somebody should just stay quiet until it's widely accepted in the industry or at least in their company, or should they, not care about their sort of position in the company and their current career, moment, and just admit it and they just take whatever punishment comes with it?
I think it's, if it was my case, I would do just one thing. I would change. I would search for another job or another thing, or I would do by myself. Um, but that's in my point of view, because I cannot feel okay with myself if I'm deceiving someone. So that thing that, oh, okay, I will stay here and I will continue doing this because I know it's better, but I I cannot say that I'm doing that, would not function with me. So if I know that something, it's better this way, and what I'm doing, it's um, the best way I think it is, and the others don't go with it, um, I change. Uh, but before I try to explain, I do this because this and that, because this results, because this enhance, because we gain time, and we gain time to do better things to our clients, even spend more time, listen to them, um, you name it. If even after my explanation people don't want, um, I I change. I go do what I want to do somewhere else. Um, because I think if there are people that really are struggling with this, maybe they aren't in the right place. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the problem I have with that, Margarita, and I'm gonna push back, is what if virtually every company out there, again, right now we're in a position with AI where most companies aren't, that open to the use of it by their employees, and on top of that, you know, they might, you might need to ask them. You might, so what do you do? Like, go through an interview process, ask them, is it okay? But then they're like, no, so you just wasting your time because you don't know. It's a very difficult one. So right now, I don't think there's that many options. That's the dilemma I find that a lot of people are in, and it's not about deceiving. It's about self-preservation. More than anything. I see it almost as a way. Again, if you're doing the best you can at your job, you're not using AI tools to be lazy. You're you've done enough due diligence within reason to make sure these tools are good. I see it as, if you've got something in your personal life, that if you shared with your boss or your colleagues, that might have a negative impact of how they see you. You don't share it as long as you can perform at the job, like, and everyone will have something in their life personally that if they shared, it wouldn't go down well. Then you just don't share it. And just the way, if you go to work, if you don't wear suits generally, but you wear a suit to work because that's the culture, that's not about deceiving them, because technically you're dressing in a way that's not normal to you. It's just about fitting in within that environment. And I think AI, again, I'll put my opinion on it. I think you shouldn't be open about it unless you know that the company's either okay with it, or they're receptive to something different, and they're probably not going to be ramifications. They might have a conversation with you, and that's it. But if you think, especially with the turbulence that's in the market right now, where it's like if you do get fired, it's difficult to get a job anyway. You know, don't share it. Like, yeah, you can try and find an alternative tool, but why do you have to if there's this amazing tool or tools already out there? Like, that's my opinion. Is that just keep it close, but just know that, okay, when the company's ready and the industry's ready, you're good to go, and you're already tooled up and skilled up, and you can capitalize on it and be in a position where when you are openly talking about it, you're an expert.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. For me, this is a completely new question or observation because I have never thought of that in that terms. Um, so my first answer was what I was saying is like, yeah, you can change. I think maybe here it's the word I was saying is like it's too strong, but deceiving. But I think uh, if you, I think this is a very tricky question because it comes if at start you have talked with your employee and it was okay to use, and then it started to not to be okay to use AI. It's strange, and you have to understand why. If it has something to do with the company privacy or policy, and it's written somewhere, I think, and you have a contract with them, yeah, you have to obey it. And if you obey it, it's not the, it's very strong word, but you understand what I'm saying. And if you don't agree with that, you can leave. The other thing is you can try to talk with them, and there's also another thing is like before AI we still did everything normally, so it's not impossible to work. Sometimes we tend to forget things, but um, 2 years ago we weren't using anything of this. ChatGPT already was available at that time, but it was so difficult. um, Only people on programming were using it, and just for specific things, so it wasn't mainstream. But we all lived and we all were doing our jobs. The difficulty here is when you start to do and learn something that improves so much your workflow, and then you see that you cannot use it anymore. It's like we are so, it's like the internet. If the internet shut down, if it disappeared today, a lot of us wouldn't know what to do next. But we all lived before there were jobs before the internet, of course. Sometimes it's difficult to take that step back. um, I understand what you're saying about self-preservation. It's the clever way to do things. um, but in the end, I think that kind of way, I understand totally the where, from where the data comes from, and the fear that the companies have in terms of legal stuff. That's perfectly normal. And I understand if some companies, to protect themselves, they say to the to their workers to not use AI. In that sense, I can understand, and there I see that the worker can work it around without putting the company in danger, because in some places it can be enough for them to close. So we need to think of, of each cases we are talking about.
Yeah, it's the problem is, with something like this, there's no clear cut answer. It is a very, tricky situation that we find ourselves in it, and I feel like that's the case with any, piece of technology. I wasn't old enough to really remember how the internet was on the work environment, but I'm sure there must have been situations where, like, companies didn't want people to use the internet, and same with search engines, and then also just in computers in general. And so yeah, it might just be, a waiting game. You definitely, it's just a waiting game. And I feel like there'll be more and more, companies that will, become more open about it, and then that'll just have a knock-on effect. And then your managers will be like, are you using this tool? Make sure you use ChatGPT. Just the way, make sure you use grammar and spell check on, Microsoft Word. It'll be, make sure you use ChatGPT, to do this and this, or Midjourney to create this concept art, or create this imagery, or analyze this image. You know, do that. Actually, that's a another interesting thing. Again, I'm not aware that Midjourney does this, because Midjourney is really from idea to image. Eh, but do you see that Midjourney might be, updating in the future, where it's the other way, where you give it an image and it can help you analyze, because it's got a lot of data of images and how images are made and created, and what makes up an image. But to give it an image to help, it helps you analyze the image and break it down, because the technology is there with it. It's just, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't do that.
Yes, but he already does that. You can input an image there, and he gives you the way he interprets, he reads the image, and he gives you the prompt for that image. And that's a great way for you to learn how to talk with a machine, because you see what he gets from the images, the terms he uses, and the way he writes the prompt. And that's very helpful. However, it tends to give you also names of artists, photographers, artistic styles, obviously. Um, in my creations, I never use the names of the artists, because I did when I started, because I love Giger, and I wanted to see if these tools could create things like Giger, for example. But that was in the start for me, because it was curiosity. When I started using it for myself and for work, what I do is I try to create my own vision of the thing, and I guide the Midjourney, the prompt, to give me what I want based on my style. Um, but using this feature that I'm telling you on Midjourney, it's perfect for you to learn how the machine, how the tool reads the image, and helps you talk with her in a better and more effective way, because he analyzed the image. Yeah.
Yeah, like the sort of analyzing I'm talking about is, again, I think it comes to that thing of, Midjourney is very, and these sort of tools are, creating these sort of wow finished images. I'm talking more like, if, let's say, I see a picture, online, so, somewhere, and it's, real picture somebody's taken, like, to be able to put it in and say, obviously you can kind of do this in Google anyway, but again, it's just about enhancing it with AI. Where is that? What's that location? Then going even further, be like, what time of day does that look like? To you, where was that picture, taken? Because I would love to get that angle, and then it's just, based on the time, the lighting, the angles, all of that. It seems like the person was X distance away from this place. You'll probably in this hotel that's nearby that looks like it's at the right angle, or in this set of building, that sort of, analyzing. Or like if I take a picture of, you know, I'm at a friend's house, he's got something on the shelf, or he's got some decorations, or let's say a wall. Take a picture and it's just like, help me analyze the wall and the paint, or the what's it called, the yeah, the wallpaper, something more like that, than what you was talking about.
I don't know if I think that is too complex, and we are talking about a lot of different data, and I don't know if Midjourney will be getting into that. I see you can um, read the light, the type of background or place you are. You can identify the kind of uh, human figure or animal or monster that is, but not like a geolocation. Of course, if you're presenting him the Egypt pyramids and up, uploaded the image there, he will say that it's in Egypt and it's the pyramids. But that's a thing that the data that was fed to Midjourney about it, it's huge. So it's easier to see these things like the Eiffel Tower, things like that, more specific and like personal things. Uh, I don't think so, and I don't know if I don't know. I don't have a straight answer to that.
No, I think that's fair enough. Plus, I think it's a good point that you made that Midjourney might never do that, but it's not that AI tools might not. Midjourney might focus on what it's doing right now and just doing that really well. It's just the way, Photoshop has a specific functionality. It's not about videos, it's about photos. Like, they have Premiere Pro for videos, and then there's other non-Adobe tools for videos. And same with Midjourney. Just because obviously, this is countering what I'm saying now, but just because it's, you know to do with images doesn't mean it's going to do everything about images, or everything about images and AI. They might release a separate tool, possibly. It might become a large company where they have a suite of tools. But yeah, Midjourney itself might just be what it is now, but just better and more focused. And I think, there's a very good chance that's what it might, become. So, Margarita, I think that's a, great place to start wrapping up the podcast. Now I want to thank you for coming on. But before we do wrap up, one thing I always do is like a little sort of rapid fire fun round of, light-hearted questions. Are you ready for them before we wrap up?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Favorite movie and favorite board game?
Favorite movie. I have to say, yeah. I don't know the English. Thin Red Line.
What Thin Red Line did you say?
Thin Red Line. Yeah.
I'm just
It's a
Google.
war movie, but it's very profound, more
From
philosophic.
the 90s. I haven't seen this one, but it looks interesting. Okay. Favorite board game?
Uh, it's in Portuguese. It's risco. How can It's let me say. I wasn't prepared for this. Let me see how we say in. I think in English it's risk.
Risk. Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It's strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I would say the two most favorite board games of anyone on the podcast is either Risk or Catan. Though
Oh, really?
one of those two is usually the one that people say. It's not Monopoly, surprisingly. I thought people would just be saying Monopoly. I don't know, because Monopoly is and was my favorite game growing up. I felt like everyone just loved Monopoly. But as I've grown older, I'm like, oh, there's these other really hardcore board. Because I thought Monopoly was a pretty hardcore board game, and then you play Catan or Risk, and you're just like, no, Monopoly is still simple, and you can kind of grasp in one or two plays and actually play it. Whereas Risk and Catan, you need to play it a few times.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I don't think
yeah,
I've ever played Risk or Catan properly. Like, I don't think I've ever, like fully played it, 100% knowing the rules to a decent level. Like, it's definitely a complex one. And it takes a fair bit of time as well.
yeah. But take give it a try because it's pretty neat. Yeah,
Yeah.
you spend a great night playing it.
Final question. Does money buy you happiness, and what does a good life mean to you?
Uh, Money buys a lot of things, including happiness, but you have to have a lot of other things too. So I don't think money buys happiness. A good life for me um, is a quiet one, doing what I love and protecting my animals. Yeah, and be close to nature. That's a good life
Okay,
and
I think
peace.
that's a great way to wrap up this week's episode of FireDev. So, Margarida, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about, obviously Midjourney and also just AI, in general. Love to have you on again. I feel like there's still a lot more that we can discuss, and I'll get all those links, from you. Obviously, I will put Midjourney in there, but anything else that you mentioned, on top of your book as well, send me all that. I'll put that in the description for everyone to check out.
Perfect. Yeah, it was super nice to be here. Thank you so much for the invites, and I hope everyone liked our talk and learned a little bit about me. Um, yeah, was my pleasure.
I'm positive everyone loved loved this week's episode of FireDev. And I want to, give a personal thank you for everyone that's listening as well. So thank you for listening. Stay tuned for next week's episode of FireDev, and also stay tuned for that hopefully potential giveaway of Margarita's book as well. Once we, because I did, literally just drop it, to on the podcast. I didn't, discuss it beforehand, so it definitely would have been a bit of a surprise for Margarita. But yeah, we'll get that sorted out with the publisher. Like I say, and I've worked with Pack before. They've never, had an issue like that. They usually like it because it's
Yeah,
free marketing. So yeah, we'll get that sorted and stay tuned. And like I said, I will post it on LinkedIn because that's becoming a very, very big platform now for sharing content, especially professional content. And also I'll post it on there how to enter, and that's it. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you all in next week's episode of FireDev. Bye bye.